Hello and welcome to this tutorial on advanced outlines and shadows. I'm going to be using Producer for this. I'm going to present a sequence of relatively simple ideas for making frames, for making outlines and shadows that create frames that will enhance the visual impact of your image. Once you've created your new frame, you can then save it as a style and use it at a future time, saving you time and effort in the process. Now the concepts that will be presented here can make for some very nice visual presentations of your image or images without relying on third-party software. But you can add those graphics if you want to further enhance your actual shadow or your actual presentation of your image. I'm going to start with the very simple and work to the more complex. Now, people are usually going to be relying on a simple outline. So what I'm going to do, I'm using a masked image here so I can keep the image at the proper size, and it provides more flexibility for creating or for putting different image sizes into a style later on. Let's create a simple outline. I'm going to duplicate the mask. We're going to change its size. You'll notice I'm not using the same zoom for each size or each axis. You can take a look at my initial tutorial on outlines to find the formula for creating these evenly spaced or evenly sized outlines. Now, that's the mask. The next thing I'm going to do is that's the outline. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this. This is going to be a frame. Let's just call it image frame. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to change its color. And I'm going to offset it. I'm going to offset it 1.25 and 2. Let's change the blur to 30. Let's give this 50. So there's my outline and the shadow. This typically is what most people use. It's quick, efficient, easy to do, and it doesn't look bad. But let's do a little enhancing, shall we? What I want to do is create a lip on this frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. Duplicate, duplicate, and duplicate. I'm going to make this the masking layer. I'm going to make this an inverted grayscale mask. I'm going to change the color of this to black. I'm going to give it a slight blur. Let's change the opacity. Now this gives me the beginning of a lip. Now on this one here, I'm going to change the size. Now the size in this case is going to be 67.5 and 7.5. As you see, it's got a little more definition. Doesn't look bad. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little definition to this frame to make it look more like a frame. So I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, what I need to do first is define some color. Let's make this 48. Let's make this. Let's make this. So I've got a diagonal on the edges. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is I need to change the size just a little bit. Let's make this, I got to reduce it just a little bit. 65 and 67.25. Okay, now need to go to the adjustments and change the, let's give it a blur of 15, just a little bit, and let's reduce the opacity just a bit too. So now we have a shadow and something that looks more like a frame than what we had before. It's missing a few things to add a little definition, so why don't we add a little bit of an image outline first? Give the image itself a little definition. It'll help out in areas like this type stuff up here. So I'm going to duplicate the mask. Now let's change it to black. And let's change the size just a little bit. So let's make it a thin one. Just need a little bit to give it a little bit of definition. And if you have to, you can even come in here and change the line just a little bit. You just want something that kind of defines the thing. Now, let's add another thing. Let's add an image shadow. Let's go, I think I want to do 0.25. Let's make it 0.5. Let's make this a blur of 20 and leave it at, let's make 70, make it a little darker. Adds a little bit more pizzazz, more catching to the eye. But we're not done yet. Let's add a shadow to the image itself as if it was being cast by the frame. Now to do that, we're going to take the image mask, we're going to duplicate it twice. Let's go make it into a masking layer. Let's adjust. Let's give it a blur of 30. Let's give it a distance of 0.75 and 1.25. And all we're doing is moving this off of the lower shadow layer. What we're going to do is we're going to edit this layer and change its color to black. I'm going to change its opacity. That's about it. Change the, invert the mask. Okay, now I've got this frame that I've created. If I want to enhance it, I want to just add a few things. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn these on a little bit at a time. Now I'm going to add an outer frame first. Makes it look a little bit better. Get a little thicker, a little more eye-catching. But I need to add a little bit of an outline to give it a little more definition. Next, let's give it an inner shadow. Gives it a little more 3D look. However, it's 3D without too much realism. So what I need to do is I need to add something that makes it look more like it's 3D. So I'm going to add an outer frame. Now that outer frame makes the area just inside it a little more interesting, because now it does look like there's some distance involved here to make it look like there's kind of a box effect, you know, an additional frame. Let's give the outer frame a little bit of a lip. Looks pretty good. All I need now is add a shadow. And it looks pretty good. Now you can enhance this a little bit by changing that inner blue outline, you know, whatever color you've used. But in this case, I've got the blue outline. We can change it to give it additional texture, which just means that I just duplicate the outer frame layer and make it a mask and bring in a graphic. And when I do that, I can change that graphic to give it a little bit of texture to the outer frame by changing the opacity a little bit, maybe give it a little bit of a blur. But whatever, I can keep some of that color and I can give the thing a little bit of texture, make it look nice. Okay, what it basically boils down to is it's just a subject of your imagination. These are just some examples that I played around with, and it should give you an idea of some of the things that you can do without getting too overly complex. Something to make your images look more visually appealing. Whatever you come up with, you can save as a style. You can save yourself a lot of work by doing that and a lot of time. So that concludes this tutorial. Have fun, and thanks for watching.